Hi, my dear CEOs and fellow hamsters. Today we're taking a step closer to financial freedom. From a mindset trick to the questions you need to ask before getting married, I've got some great financial wisdom for you. India's got a serious game of Monopoly going on. How do you have folks living on peanuts right next door to people with enough cash to fill a hamster cage with gold flakes? I mean, if I lived that close to Scrooge McDuck, you'd best believe I'd be knocking on that door asking for a snack. But turns out, there's a reason we're not all out there raiding the rich. It's all in our little brains. Let's see how this works.
In India, you have massive disparities between the poor and the rich. I mean, you're talking people who make $8 a month and people who are billionaires. How does that happen? Like, how do those people who live near a billionaire not just go knock the door down and take food? And they said, our brain has developed mechanisms of coping with other people's success. And I've seen it in my own brain when I see people more successful than me. One of the reactions is people think that the person got lucky. This is one common reaction. The other one is that the person inherited it. The other one is that they stole it. And only the fifth one is thinking, wow, that maybe that person has something I can learn from. That's how they got successful.
Apparently, our tiny hamster thinkers are wired to just sit there. But hey, if you're stuck in your little plastic tunnel, you might as well try to learn a trick or two, right? Or, just sit there and pretend you're not totally jealous. That works too, I guess. If you've ever caught yourself spending your hard-earned coins on shiny toys and fancy wheels, we need to have a chat. Let's take a look through a list of 3 big no's, so you don't end up in the broke hamster express for the rest of your days.
Here are 3 things not to do until you're rich. Number 1, buy a luxury lifestyle. 5-star hotels, expensive meals and designer clothes. The list goes on. These things will keep you poor. Instead, buy assets like stocks, crypto and real estate, and then you can live the life you want. Number 2, drive an expensive car. A vehicle is the number 1 biggest wealth killer. It's the most expensive thing you'll ever buy that will go down in value. Just buy something cheap and run it into the ground. Number 3, lend to friends and family. This always leads to trouble as they're never going to pay you back. If you really want to help them out, give them the money and call it charity.
So you're telling me that if I want to be rich, I've got to stop living like a luxury-loving fluffball and keep my paws off 5-star pellets and premium bedding? I mean, my wheel's the only vehicle I need, but still, I can't cruise around in style and let my hamster cousins near my snack stash. Lesson learned. Speaking of things that sucks up cash quicker than a hamster vacuuming up snacks, before you roll your wheel down the aisle and get married, let's get real about the 3 questions you need to ask to avoid turning your new fam into a disaster. Forget flowers and love songs. Let's talk debt. Trust me, this is the kind of pillow talk that could save you some serious stashes down the road.
What do you think is the 3 biggest questions everyone should ask before they get married?
I think one of the best questions to ask is not about, you don't want to ask about, hey, how much debt do you have on the first date? What's your income? Like, what's your life plan? What you want to ask is, what are your views around debt? Just what are your values when it comes to building wealth? That to me says a whole lot more about a person than their current status. And so I'm never going to be like, you better find someone who's debt free, who's it's not about that. It's about where are they trying to go? Because if they're trying to hang on to debt, and they're going to continue to spend more than they make, probably not someone I want to be with long term. We see that one of the number 1 causes of divorce in America today is money fights and money problems. Wow. And so if you can avoid that on the front end, which I think you can, by asking some good questions like, what are your values around money? What was it like growing up in your house? Was money talked about? I think that's a really interesting question because it says a lot about how you think about money and your paradigm around money.
I thought the biggest question was, are you cool with having a hamster hotter than you? Turns out we gotta ask about debt and values like we're negotiating some big deal. Honestly, if they spend more than they make, that's a red flag. Better ask the tough questions now, or you might end up fighting over that last piece of lettuce. For more wisdom, don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you in the next video. And remember, hamsters are power, one for all and all for one. Bye.